Hi, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Huber, joined today with the full crew. Logan and John are both here on a special Thanksgiving episode. Want to give a shout out to today's podcast sponsor, Epilogue Laser. You can quickly and easily customize your woodworking projects for added beauty and value. Learn more at epiloguelaser.com.
Before we start, gotta give a shout out to my boys down at the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. Mug from Kevin Thomas. Good guy. Terrible taste in football teams, just because he's a Kansas City
Chefs fan.
Yeah, he's a Chefs fan. But
I mean, unlike you root for your hometown Miami Dolphins.
That's right. Fair.
Yeah. One of my uncles lived in Buffalo, outside of Buffalo, New York for the longest time. And they, at the time when we went out and visited them, it was kind of the reverse of what it is. Well, I guess it's pretty close. It was like Buffalo was pretty good and Miami was good at the same time.
Yep.
And there was a more intense rivalry. And so every time the Bills played the Dolphins, we'd have squish the fish.
Yep. Well, it's like every time
exchanges.
Yeah. Every time we go to Indianapolis Colts and Miami Dolphins game when I was younger, because Miami used to play the Colts all the time, so we'd always drive over. Every restaurant's specialty was mahi dolphin. It was awesome. We always won, which was great. I mean, that was the Marino era, so of course we won. But so yeah. But did you guys hear that? Speaking of Buffalo, you guys hear how much snow they're supposed to get?
Yeah,
I did
all
not.
of it.
Up to 7 feet, something like that. So they have moved the game from Buffalo to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I
say play in it.
Yeah, just
that's what I
play
say. Yeah, like
I'll tune in. I'll tune into that.
I saw a good meme of like Josh Allen handing the ball off, but all you could see was here.
Where was that? I think there was a Bears game years and years ago where they would periodically like halt the game and they'd go through with the little narrow snow blowers.
Yep.
So they'd just run down the yard lines. So you
Power
could see
the power shovels.
yeah, the power shovels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
I say bring it on. I think the people in Buffalo would love it.
Oh yeah.
And it would be like if the same thing were to happen in Green Bay, it would just be, we're doing this out of spite. We're just doing it to show you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a whole section of people that don't have shirts on.
Yep.
And
yeah.
But no, I secretly have a dream of, I guess it's not a secret anymore, of living in a place where lake effect snow is a real part of life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking about that because we got our first snow. Well, it must have been like earlier this week when I was driving back from Las Vegas. And I'm working from home today. My wife's actually downstairs working from home today. I'm like, there's snow out. It feels like it's a snow day. There's like not hardly any snow. I mean, it's enough that it's stuck around.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. All right. So do a project update in that I'm kind of closing in on the last few things on the sideboard project that I'm doing for Popular Woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, one of my goals was to do drawer components. Like I have the walnut drawer fronts done, sized, and the rabbit joinery taken care of. I still need to do like the little cutout handles on them. But I was going to do the remaining part of the drawer boxes from white pine.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because I have some local Bondurant white pine.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Which of all the white pines is the most Bonduranty.
Yep.
And I had it all planned out where I needed to like resaw this, and then I was going along and I jointed the face of one of the boards, and it was fine for white pine. It was fine. But I looked at the edge grain and it had the like perfect white pine straight grain So leaving the bandsaw set at or about 5/8 of an inch, because I want 1/2-inch drawer size sides. I just decided to start ripping off strips off the edge, and I'm going to glue up.
You're gluing up quarter sawn white pine.
I'm gluing up quarter sawn white pine drawer sides and backs.
Okay.
It was just something. It's one of those. Okay, now raise your hand if this has happened to you. You have a total plan in your head of what you're going to do when you're working in the shop, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you're like, "Nope, we're throwing out the script."
Yep. Driving along the highway, and here comes an exit, and just veer off. And
From the left lane.
Decisions were made.
So, let me ask you this. Okay, first of all, that's like the most popular woodworking thing ever, to just glue up the drawer side out of, quarter sawn white pine.
Right.
Did you rip them still at 5/8?
Yes.
Okay. So you got a little bit of room.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, and I think this is to be a little bit of a tangent here, is it's really easy for woodworkers, I feel. I'm going to, I don't know, imprint my own feelings on other people. But I think just in conversations and in the nature of how we do things, it's really easy to get stuck on specific dimensions. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I want the drawer sides to be 1/2 inch. But if you have a thickness planer, what you're really going for is I want smooth drawer sides. And if they end up at 9/16, half, even 7/16 to a certain degree, like, who cares? More or less what you want is consistency, because it's easier for joinery if your parts are of consistent size. But, hitting a specific number is like a false goal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I resawed those pieces they're about 5/8. I think it's a little less. And then once I plane them down after I glue them up, then they just kind of are going to be what they are, and I'm not going to worry about it. So
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, it was just, one of those spur of the moment things where I thought, the drawer boxes, at least when you pull them out, nobody really sees a drawer back, I guess.
No.
But when you see drawer sides, the straight grain of the white pine will be a fun contrast to the walnut.
Yeah. And those drawers are going to be rabbited.
Yep.
And then pinned together with dowels.
With dowels, yeah.
What flavor of dowel?
I don't know that it matters too much. I have a length of, I think it's an oak dowel, so that there's once a little oil gets on there, there's a nice punch of contrast.
Okay.
I suppose I could use walnut dowel. I just have to go get some. That'd be more the bigger issue.
Yeah. Cool.
But I'm using dowels on the case. I have dowels kind of reinforcing the case, so there's kind of a symmetry and in a repeated motif throughout different things. So yeah, but it was one of those things where it's like, once I started, and then you think to yourself, how many, because the white pine, the rough sawn blanks or boards are about 2 inches thick. So you get a little less than 2 inches once you joint and then plane it, so you have consistent whatever. So it's like, that's a lot of strips to glue up into drawer sides and backs. And it was one of those things where I'm a bunch of strips in, and then you start seeing that pile build up, and you're like, was this really a good idea?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, and they're narrow, so it's like I worry about the buckling as you try to glue them up. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I was wondering how thick you went on them.
No, they're actually remarkably flat that way.
Yeah.
So I think they'll glue up just fine. It's just, like my smallest drawer is like 3 3/4 of an inch, about 4, and it's 3 strips. So, and then the bigger drawers require 4 strips. So that was like
that's not that bad.
73 strips that I needed to make. So. And the gluing up isn't going to take that much. I'm going to use the Tight Bond speed set, because it's just like run a bead, and then I can actually glue up, several blanks worth within the same set of clamps. You just keep backing them out and going along. So,
thinking about gluing up those panels. You know what I've wanted to put together for a long time? I know, I think, John, are you working on a reader's tip for keeping panels flat? Is that what that was? That's on the photo studio?
Yes.
Yeah. U-shaped things.
Some like calls or something.
Yeah. So when I was down at David Mark's place earlier this summer, he has a bunch of just like big landscaping pavers that are like super dense, but he has them wrapped in duct tape so they're fairly soft. And that's what he uses to weight stuff down. I was thinking, that'd be nice to be able to throw on top of those panels to keep them flat as you're clamping. So at some point I'll probably grab a couple of bricks and just wrap them up in duct tape and use those as like weights. I should have bought our set of free weights from the workout room and just use those. So
just don't try to get them through the airport through customs.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to ask questions.
Yes, they will.
Or if you are going to buy a bunch of weights, delay that purchase till like February or so, once everybody's New Year's resolutions wear off, and then you can just go to like Play It Again Sports and buy a bunch of discounted.
Yep.
So
anyway, you got people working on your shop right now, Logan.
I do. I got my crew is out there kind of pounding away. Actually, you guys want to go on a field trip? Let's go on a field trip. Yeah, let's go on a field trip. It's
an audio field trip for the audio podcast listeners.
Yes, and if you guys don't know that we have a YouTube version of this, we do.
Yes. So. Thankfully, it's 15 degrees outside right now.
So they're out there kind of
happening.
Yep. They're pounding away. They are right now working on the soffit, getting the soffit up. This snow that we got this week kind of it was a little sticky.
Yeah.
And
because it had been warm.
Yeah. So everything was warm. So it stuck to the purlins and I don't know if they're purlins on the roof that connect the trusses together. So the guys don't want to really climb, and I don't blame them, and I don't want them climbing up there. They don't want to climb up there and start putting metal on the roof because there's snow on the purlins that they would be standing on and screwing on. So they're working on soffit and stuff today, but they got house wrap done yesterday. They got the doors and windows are all set, which it's funny because the concrete hopefully will get done next week. It's not in there, but the grade board's up. So the grade board on the very bottom of the walls sets the height of the concrete.
Sure.
But I have about 8 inches to fill. So when you go in there, the windows are like at chin height right now. so you go in there, you're like, wow, those windows are really tall. They're not really that tall. But no, so it's so nice having like stuff move. It's going. I was telling you guys before we started recording, Menards has their last week of their rebate going on this week for the year. So I'm trying to order some insulation and all that jazz. My plumbers have been in and done. So I got my floor drain in and I got my bathroom stub in all done. They did the plumbers came in. So prior to last week, there was a day it rained here in Iowa for like a day solid, and it just downpoured. It got like 3 inches of rain, and it turned that clay building pad into a absolute mud pit. And of course, here comes my plumbers with their excavator. They just tore it up so bad. Oh my gosh. It looked like a freshly tilled field. Like, it was ridiculous. So my guys out here that are working took their skid loader through it on Monday. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I should have rock getting delivered today for backfilling to get ready for concrete. Hopefully concrete will go in next week when it warms up a bit. So we shall see. But stuff is moving. It is awesome to see stuff moving. I'm excited. Kind of makes me sick as I'm like adding stuff to my Menards cart. You know how expensive wiring is? Like,
oh yeah,
buying a 1,000-foot roll of like 12.2 or 12.3 wire is, woo.
But that's just more rebate.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's how you have to look at it, John.
Yep. It's an investment, really.
Yeah.
You're getting 11% return. Where are you going to get that anywhere else right now?
Right.
11% return.
It's recycling money, really, I think is what it is.
Yeah,
it's
It
a
helps
closed
the economy,
loop system.
hurts no one.
Yep, that's funny. So yeah, no, it is super cool. The building looks really big. I think once I throw a wall down the center of it to divide the shop versus the storage, I think it's going to feel a little bit smaller, but still, I'm not going to complain about a 40 by 40 shop. So
You better not.
Nope, not planning on it. So
not that you'd get any sympathy from the two of us either.
No,
so
that is true.
This is so small.
Yeah. I don't know. Did we talk about me hitting the gas and water lines on the podcast?
Oh, I don't know. I think you were gone. You've been gone since
I was.
Since that happened,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. When we started, so the way a post frame building is done like this, you drill post holes to set footings. You don't like trench and pour a concrete footing. You drill holes. And you pour concrete in the bottom of them, and then the post sits on the concrete, and then you backfill with rock. That's the way that the buildings need to be constructed for our snow load here and our wind rating that we're required in Polk County. And so the guys showed up, and it's an Amish crew that's doing this. They're super awesome guys. I love just hanging out there and chatting with them as they work, which they probably hate. But they pulled up their first morning when they were going to start, and they had a skid loader on a trailer. And I'm like, oh, Raymond, I am so glad you guys brought this skid loader. I was afraid they were going to dig these holes by hand. And they're like, no, but that was my Father's Day. That was back then. We own a skid loader and a big auger, because they're 24-inch holes. They're big, and they have to go 50 inches. And
wow.
Yeah. There was a pile of dirt when we were done doing the holes. But the second hole we dug, we found my gas line that feeds my house. And before I get all the smart aleck comments, yes, I called 811. They marked it, and we offset our post hole because it was close to the gas line. However, I didn't read the flags very thoroughly, aka at all. And the flags where they marked it said, hand dig on 18 inches each side of the mark. Well, the edge of our hole was at 18 inches off the mark, but we still center punched that gas line. So that was a fun, all right, let's shut the skid loader off. There's an emergency ball valve on the road, so it will bleed gas for a minute or two until it senses that the flow is too much, and then it shuts itself off.
Oh, okay.
And then it might occasionally burp a little gas. So we kind of
who
backed
doesn't
off.
really?
I mean, yeah, right. So we backed off that hole for a few minutes. Once we stopped smelling gas, it's like, all right. I mean, I called a Mid-American. They were coming out to fix it, whatever. We go to the next hole, and we found my water line. Side by side, man. And I had checked with my plumber and said, hey, how deep's the water line? They said it will be at 60 inches. That's water line depth for us. I said, okay, great. It was at 42 inches. So Yeah, they had to come out and also repair my water line, which they were going to have to find the water line anyway. So really, I just helped them.
Yep,
Right.
found it.
Yeah, found it. But yeah, so it was a really good day that day.
Yeah. Now I know that oil and gas or oil and water don't mix, but how about gas and water? Does that mix?
Well, yeah. So that way, when you light something on fire, you can put it out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was the point of making sure they were right next to each other.
Sure.
So, yeah. Only thing as people commented on the Popular Woodworking Facebook page when I posted that photo of doing that, people were wondering if we found the electric line next. No, that's on the other side of the property. I know where that's at. I knew where the gas was. I knew where the water was. I just thought we were going to miss them. But we didn't. So, yeah. My plumbers, thankfully, did not charge me anything to come out a day early to repair that and put the water in. So, I'm still waiting on the Mid-American bill. We'll see what that emergency repair cost me. So,
Was the gas on the other side of the meter, though, that escaped? I mean, you don't have to pay for that gas, right?
that's correct. That's right.
Should have caught it in jars. Yeah. Free gas.
Yeah. Yep. Which, it was funny. So when Mid-American showed up, they brought their own little mini excavator to dig it and open it up and stuff. And the whole reason this is a side note in case anybody is digging and you call 811, sometimes when they trench in this type of stuff, water and gas line, they put a tracer wire with it. That's how they find it. So they hook a power pack up to the meter that charges the wire, and then that's what they're scanning for.
Right.
So they're not actually scanning for the line because it's actually a plastic PEX line that runs the gas. However,
and PEX magnets are super expensive.
Yeah, they're really rare to find. Sometimes when they put them in, they don't trench them. So a trench is like a chainsaw bar, and it just cuts a 6-inch wide trench straight down. Sometimes they do it with a backhoe, and when they do it with a backhoe, they're just scooping with the bucket, and then they lay the gas line and the wire side by side, so they can be up to 12 inches away from each other. So where they mark the wire, that's where they're going to spray the ground. But the gas line could be up to 12 inches away from that.
So plus or minus 12 inches on either side.
Yeah, well, and their flags say 18.
Or 18.
Yes. Things you learn.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what would
within
life be what would life be without experiences?
Right. Exactly.
Want to give a shout out to today's podcast sponsor, Epilogue Laser. You can quickly and easily customize your woodworking projects for added beauty and value. Learn more at epiloguelaser.com.
But you got all that done.
Yeah.
So, and moved on.
We're moving on.
I think it's kind of amazing because it was how many months of like nothing, delay. Everything happens at once.
Yeah, well, and that's what it was. Yeah, it was. I had a contractor lined up. He kept getting pushed back from other things. Not really his fault, but at a point I just decided, hey, I'm gonna have to break ties with you. I will find my own crew. So I found my Amish crew, and these guys they're awesome. And how fast they work is unbelievable. And they're running everything off a gas powered air compressor. They have their skid steer. They do have an enclosed trailer with them that is full of Milwaukee cordless power tools. So I run them an extension cord from my front door out to their trailer so they can charge everything. But they work extremely quickly. A pole building is pretty straightforward. But they're efficient. There's 3 of them. Raymond's the head framer, and he might be 30. And the other 2 kids with him are like 16 and 17, 16 and 18, something like that. And
sure.
I would say if I gave them an entire week, if they were here an entire week, Monday through Friday, they'd have the entire building done. It's just right now we're in the middle of hunting season, and I respect it, and they want to go sit in a tree stand, and I'm like, hey, that's fine. You guys are here. You're telling me when you're going to show up. Communication's clear. He has a cell phone, which is pretty nice. He can get a hold of me, so it's fun. So it's nice seeing it go.
So how long does it take for the concrete to cure enough to put a 24-inch jointer on it?
Did Mark phone that question in?
I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, this is just educational purposes.
I don't know. I don't know that, John. Yeah, I don't know. I know that. So the guy that's going to do my concrete, I was supposed to call him this morning. I tried to call him, and he's supposed to call me back. He poured my buddy Bobby's pad, which actually it's funny because Bobby and I should have planned this better because my crew that's doing my building did Bobby's. We should have did it like 2-for-1 deal. Same concrete guy too. When they poured Bob's, they poured it in the morning, and they were riding around the power trowels for the polishing. They were riding those around and walking on it at 2:00 in the afternoon. So, wow. Yeah, so it must cure pretty quick. Now that was 2 months ago, so it was warmer then. It may be, a little bit longer with the cold weather, and I'm sure they mix additives in for cold weather curing. Yeah, but I don't know. So
yeah, I just know you don't want to park a car on green concrete, and the jointer is about the weight of a car. Yeah,
it is. Yep,
so.
Very accurate. So
yeah,
cool.
Yep,
loving it. John, any updates with you?
No, I'm not building a shop or anything. I'm boring, sad, lame.
You can come help if you want.
Right. Yeah, I'll blow in insulation. I can get up in the attic and fluff it.
Yep.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Not doing insulation in the summer.
That's right.
At all.
Sticky.
Although I decided I don't want to do the fire. I'm going to do cellulose insulation instead of fiberglass.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with that nasty, itchy stuff. Whoa. So, and it's cheaper. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. So are you doing that yourself? Where is the cutoff for you on
John's doing it, I guess.
Yeah. On what you're doing versus what you're having other people do?
Shell of the building will be done.
Okay.
Steel porch will be on there. Concrete will be done. My electrician is hooking up the meter and the electrical panel and getting me a light and outlet to pass inspection. I will be putting up the garage doors, and I will be doing the inside. I will not be drywalling because I hate drywalling. John might just come in and just texture right on the insulation.
Yeah, you don't even
it's like a
cover the joints. I'll just spray texture right over it. It's structural.
And yeah, so basically, I'll do the framing. I'll do the insulation. I'll do the electrical work and the plumbing. But I will let somebody else do the drywall hanging and mudding because screw that. And yeah, so, and initially my plan was in this shop to do a center divider wall, kind of to butt up the table saw against. And I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I was going to do that because I was going to have a second floor above the shop, but now I'm not. I'm doing 14-foot ceilings, no second loft above there. So it's just going to be an open room with a office and a bathroom in the corner. So,
okay.
Yeah, I think it'll work out pretty well.
Nice. Let's see. Found out that we're just a couple of weeks away from being able to launch ShopNotes out into the world. So shortly after Thanksgiving, that option will be available. That's kind of fun. So
yeah.
Great Christmas present for all your woodworking friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. For yourself. Treat yourself.
Right.
That's what ShopNotes is all about. Treating yourself.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yes.
The back cover of the new ShopNotes has your jointer in its as-is state.
That's right.
And it'll be fun to follow along with that periodically with some update photos. And
yeah. I got to get that thing sandblasted. I was trying to get that done before my Vegas trip. Didn't happen. And now it's cold.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How do you think Mark would feel about sandblasting in the finishing room?
The good thing now is with the snow and ice is you can just sandblast in the parking lot, and
that was my plan originally.
Takes care of all the traction.
That's
you're
right.
putting down sand.
That's right.
Yep.
Although if weather here in Iowa holds, we usually end up having this really frigid snap in November, and then December is like mostly in the 50s.
60s. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's accurate. Completely accurate. So, yeah. But I know I told you guys this. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast. There's a guy that had emailed me. He read my last editor's note in Popwood, and he emailed me and he's like, dude, I am restoring a 24-inch Towsley joiner right now. And I'm like, no way. Did we just become best friends? Yup. So some of the parts I'm missing, he's sending me dimensions and photos of so I can have them recast. So that was like, I mean, such a long shot. But sometimes the universe works out. So,
Yep.
Sometimes you hit the gas line. Sometimes you find a new best friend.
yeah. You know what? Not gonna say that I shouldn't get the jointer out of the shop at some point, because I should. However, I'm more concerned about getting, because now I have a bandsaw, a drum sander, and a router table in my garage, and my wife can't park in there, and she's not very happy about it. So
yeah, I have to tell you though, it's the jointer and all its parts are in our photo studio right now, and somehow the jointer base ended up in the middle of our shop set. So we just took our bench top. We had to shoot some photos on top of a bench top. So we just took our bench top and put it right on top of the jointer base, and worked out perfectly. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's like was it Jameel? I think Jameel Abraham from Benchcrafted. He was writing something for Popular Woodworking years ago, and he mentioned something about his 12-inch jointer project that he was working on. And he said, thankfully it conveniently tucks away under my bench. And it was a photo of his jointer with his bench top sitting on top of it. And it looks ridiculous. I mean, it just looks ridiculous because the top is so tiny compared to the jointer. So, yeah.
I love it. All right, so I have a couple of carving projects that I've been working on recently, which is kind of fun. So one of them is for a certain wedding anniversary for my parents.
Okay.
I'll be able to show some photos of that, hopefully in the next week or two, which has been kind of a nice little diversion from the big dining room table and sideboard projects, just to have something different. And even though I know that basswood is botanically a hardwood, I'm putting it in the vegan woodworking category because it was
fine.
Pescatarian.
Right.
Woodworking.
And it's a delight to work with, other than sometimes being a little hairy or fuzzy or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty fun to carve.
Yeah. Well, you know what I would like to get a hold of at some point to mess around with is Tupelo. Because that's what the waterfowl carvers carve. The bird carvers. That's what they carve. And supposedly they carve Tupelo because it doesn't fuzz like basswood. So I would like to mess around with it because you're right. Basswood can get a little fuzzy. It's kind of like when you don't get that perfectly clean cut, those fibers just lift just a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a little shreddy or something.
Yeah.
And I realize that I'm still learning as a carver, both in my technique and sharpening ability. So that plays a role in it too. On this project, though, I did a lot of incised carving, and where I had some of those uneven surfaces, what I ended up doing is I had like a 3/8 inch maple dowel that I put one end in the pencil sharpener to get kind of a long tapered point on. And then the other side, I just held up to the edge sander. So I got like a flat surface with kind of a rounded end. And then I used that as a burnisher on the basswood. And I can just kind of rub around all on the inner bits of the carving, and it made it look, just cleaned it up pretty nicely. So that was kind of cool.
I always wondered what would happen if you took like a propane torch after you're done and just quickly went over it, would it burn off all the fuzzes? I don't know if it would or not.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be kind of an interesting.
That's what I mean. Not to get morbid, but that's what we do when we're processing animals. I mean, when you're done skinning, you have hair left because no matter how clean you are, you always get a little hair left. So you hit it with a torch and it just burns all the hair right off.
Right.
It smells great too.
It smells really good.
It's all those crossover skills that just make woodworking.
Yep.
So
Life skills.
yeah. We had a guy who was an editor here at Woodsmith for a while, and it was like a second career for him because he, in a previous life, was a foot surgeon. And when he started and we were just kind of in the get to know you phase, he was talking about how much overlap in both technique and terminology there is between bone surgery and woodworking. So that was kind of...
Gotta cut them dados.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they use a lot of the same tools. They're just more sterile. Hopefully they have like a coffee can of like parts that they're, replacing a knee. It's like, oh, this will work. And
This one.
Shake out the hardware jar.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
Gross.
Yeah.
See, if I'm gonna be a surgeon, foot surgeon's not the. It seems like a lot of gristle to get through. Like,
lots of little parts too, all the little bones and
yeah,
a lot going on. I don't know, but
No, he loved it. He was
who
pretty
was
cool guy.
that?
That was Dr. Ron Johnson.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
yeah. And then after, was he a professor, university
he
professor
taught-
or something?
Yeah, because there's just down the street from us is one of the top medical schools, Des Moines University. And so he taught there in addition to working in their clinic. And then he was here for a while. And then, I don't know, he was here for like 5 or 6 years or something like that, maybe a little longer. And then left to be an administrator at another school. And then went on to his final career of farming. So,
That's a man after my own heart.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, let's do everything and see what works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All that to say is that never think that whenever there's a job opening at Popular Woodworking or Woodsmith or ShopNotes or whatever, that your previous life does not qualify you for this. Is
All you have to be is a surgeon.
Yep.
right. Or a rocket scientist.
That's right.
Yep.
Or
Or Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Yeah, we have another former editor who's a Santa Claus right now. So
One of the top in the country.
yeah.
I mean, the top. There's only one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny we were at some store last weekend and they had a Santa Claus there and my kids were like, they're kind of iffy, like, kind of scared of Santa Claus. It's like, yeah, we don't even want to go see that one. That's not even the real Santa Claus. Some fake.
Ooh, fighting
It's
words.
like, ooh. Yep.
There you go. So I thought to wrap up today's episode, since it's the week before Thanksgiving, and we will be taking the week of Thanksgiving off for the podcast, so everybody can not feel guilty about having to listen to the ShopNotes podcast when they would really rather be hunting for deals online. So what do you guys have to be thankful for this year?
Boy, blindside us with that, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
geez.
Jeez. I'm thankful for my Amish crew that is showing up and working on my building.
Yep. I'm thankful for Logan's Amish crew, so I'm not there working on his building.
Yeah.
These are my favorites.
Yep.
I'm thankful for being able to have family members that don't mind me building projects for them and surprising them with different gifts and allowing me to run with my tangents in different woodworking interests and in being able to enjoy that. So it's kind of cool.
I think they're pretty thankful too. The stuff they end up with.
It'll be kind of fun. I'll be at my sister's house next week, staying there for Thanksgiving. So I'll be able to see the table in its home and a few of my other projects that I've made for her there. So that's always
Yeah.
Oh, does that mean we have to get that thing done before you go?
Yeah, when's the sideboard supposed
The
to be
sideboard can be done whenever. So there was no, I mean,
I guess,
in a perfect world, could that have been done before Thanksgiving? Yes. But perfect does not stop at 2143 Grand.
No, it does not.
It's an express train right on past.
Yep.
Yeah. This is the kind of the time of year where I come up with some harebrained idea to get some sort of project done before Christmas. So
Yeah.
Yeah, waiting to hear on that one.
Yeah, have the next week to kind of think about that, see what I come up with. So
Yeah. It'll be kind of fun to see because then you usually end up taking photos while you're building it here. And it's usually something extensive.
right.
He has a new house that the basement does not have a tree fort.
Right. Or a jungle gym.
Or a jungle
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
Yes.
The girls have really been into gymnastics lately. I could put in like
Yeah.
we have a long room where I could put in like a
balance
vault, a balance
Yep.
beam and a vault and hang
Yep.
some rings from the ceiling or something, turn it into a gymnastics arena.
Or you get you just go through the scrap bin here and you just take all the little chunks and just kind of round off all the edges and then you can like put them on the wall for like a climbing wall.
yes. That's something. Yep. So all
John's
good
writing
ideas.
that idea down.
Yep. Let's do it.
I'm thinking of doing a woodblock print for a Christmas gift.
Yeah, be cool.
It'd be interesting. I thought you were done with Christmas gifts already.
He's looking ahead to next year.
Yeah. I am actually done with Christmas gifts for the year. I just can't help myself, so I've decided to add another one.
We know. We are aware.
That is the thing with like Christmas gifts or Christmas shopping. It doesn't matter how early you start. You're not done until Christmas hits.
Right.
It seems like you're always going to keep like adding or doing more.
Yeah.
So just wait till the last minute.
Yeah. It's like food for holiday get-togethers also, where it's like, if you were to list out what we're all planning on making, we could feed a small city. And then when it's like, but what about if we made this? Great idea. Let's do it.
Yep.
So, all right. I think that wraps up another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. Special thanks to Epilogue Laser for sponsoring today's episode. You can quickly and easily customize your woodworking projects for added beauty and value. You can learn more at epiloguelaser.com. I'd like to know what you're thankful for this holiday season in woodworking. You can send that as an email, woodsmith@woodsmith.com, or as Logan mentioned earlier, we're on the YouTubes with the podcast, and you can see some stuff here, and you can write down that in the comments section below. Otherwise, we'll pick it up again on the flip side. Thanks for listening to the ShopNotes Podcast. Bye, everybody.